it's Nate with Pulse PEMF and the Pulsecast. We're here at the 2025 Biohacking Conference in Austin, Texas, and with me is Freddie Kimmel, and he is a speaker, he's a overcomer, and host of the Beautifully Broken podcast. Freddie, thank you so much for joining me
What a
today.
treat to be here.
Thank you.
Let's
And
go. This is
how are you loving the
amazing.
conference? Isn't this fun?
I like the conference, but this setup is incredible. What a great idea.
We're drawing a lot of attention over here
Yeah.
with this this portal of information, and now that you're sitting in it, I
Yeah.
want to hear what is your favorite part of the conference so far.
I mean, I love the people. I love talking to people. I love listening to, it's like, where are you at? How do you feel? What do you need?
Yes,
It's really easy. There's so much incredible technology and solutions and supplements and you name it. It's here if you're in the world of wellness.
absolutely.
But how do you sort through the information and distill some knowledge out of that?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
It's really easy. Like you come to these events and your adrenaline's up and every the connection is there, the community. I really think that, it's a good time to, before you come to these events, like check in with your body. Like, what do you want to get out of this?
Come on.
And then you could spend 6 months sorting through all the conversations you had. So
You're not kidding.
I love the people. I love the connection. I love the community. It's a great reminder that we don't heal alone.
That's right. Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
and I've been listening to a lot of the perspectives and opinions of people who've been coming through our booth. I think everybody's just grateful that there are innovators who've been asking the what if questions.
Yeah.
Like, what if we could unlock this in human potential? And what if we could unlock that? What have you been researching? What's burning in your heart right now in regards to unlocking that human potential?
Well, right now, I'm really focused on lymphatics. I work with a company called Flowpresso. I'm the head of innovation for that company. And I had cancer that had spread to my lymphatic system. I have like 80 surgical clips in my belly. Lymphatics was never a conversation I had with anybody on my medical team.
Wow.
We talked about it in a deleterious fashion. My cancer had spread there, but understanding the regulatory capacity of lymphatics, the idea that the lymph is moving out cellular waste, cellular garbage, it's mobilizing your whole immune system.
Yes.
And most people in modern day society, it's very stagnant.
That's very true. The sedentary lifestyles have been awful.
Over sitting, under breathing, and really underfed. We're undernourished.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
what are you doing right now with the company and in
Yeah.
regards to this movement, the biohacking movement?
Yeah, really education, empower, inspire.
Good.
It's we got to teach people what is the lymphatic system? Why do we need it? What's the value proposition? That obviously something like Flowpresso is a system that adds compression and heat and it squeezes the body like a tube of toothpaste. That's phenomenal. But daily, we want to walk 10,000 steps. We really want to think about what is it like to take a breath that's deep enough to massage the internal structures within my deep peritoneum cavity.
Yes.
How does breath facilitate lymph? How do we said like the pandemic of sitting.
Right.
We sit for so long. A 1 hour workout does not undo sitting. So it's like, how are we moving? Right. I think the chronic illness or the disease onset in the world, it's perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. It's exactly what should happen when we don't eat well, we don't connect, and we don't move enough.
Yes.
So I think just challenging that, we don't always need technology to supervolt us into the stratosphere of energy. Sometimes we want to listen to that symptom and be like, well, what is the body telling me? I think that's really like intuitive listening to the body.
Yes. And with a modality like that, and you are offering a way out of that stagnancy, what are some of those like free biohacks that you do? I've been talking to more of innovators and inventors, they're like, do this modality, but there's these free things that you should do too.
Yeah.
Like not eating before bed a certain time. What are some of those daily disciplines that you walk by?
Right. So I'm right in the midst of designing this academy called the Biological Blueprint, which is looking at all these regulatory systems that we should honor that are quite scientifically validated throughout time. So I'd look at a greater part of our ancestral evolution through time, right? We have to move. Like movement is medicine.
Yes.
And so I think that's a big one, from the elements of like when we move, there's like piezoelectricity created when fascia glides over skin.
Mm-hmm.
Lymphatics starts to pump throughout the body. The body connection to our muscles and moving through space. Things like light exposure. You know, we live in these beautiful little homes, but we're not getting any exposure to light. Light is medicine. From the
Yes.
morning sunlight that everybody talks about on podcasts that is going to regulate your cortisol and melatonin, but also like the junk light that we're sitting in, you know,
Yeah.
all day from a television screen. I'm a big believer in minimizing junk light exposure at the end of the day, from dimming the lights, having a red light in the bathroom if I get up to pee, and having like a blue light blocker glass on if I'm gonna watch Netflix, things like
Right.
that.
Right.
Um, you know, I think from a really interesting one, I think one of the most powerful things we can do from like a medicine, and that is taking breaks from what we're eating. Like,
Mm.
think about the greater span of evolution. We didn't have refrigerators. We didn't have food on
We didn't
demand.
have produce flown in year round.
No, no, and it wasn't the same foods, but taking a break from eating is an incredible therapeutic tool, whether you're going through autoimmune disorder or late stage chronic Lyme. I've had even cancer. There's a doctor out there, Katie Deming, doing long-term extended water fasts to
Hmm.
improve, you know, outcomes and metastatic cancer, and documenting all of her work. It's incredible. It's not that these things, like something like fasting, it's not always the cure,
Right.
but it's assisting a regulatory system of the body known as autophagy. The body's going to go into Pac-Man mode,
Yeah.
start eating all the non-beneficial viruses and proteins and yada 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 out of our joints and our tissues,
Yep.
and you feel better at the end of this fast. Now, this is not like permission. This is not medical advice to go not eat food
Right.
for 2 weeks.
All right.
And this is something that we had times of feast and famine.
Hmm.
So we don't honor that. And I think it's so easy to get that dopamine hit from the food, that comfort. It's like, oh, you know, whatever would feel great right now at the end of the day. Well, it's phenomenal to go to bed on an empty stomach, so the body's focusing on sleep and regulating inflammation, not digesting, you know, an ice cream sundae.
Right.
You know, it's yes, it's not great food that we eat in the American standard diet, but a lot of that can be minimized from taking breaks from eating. You know, I'd say the other thing I'll say is like, we could just maybe close on this topic. It's the idea of whatever's happening with this tech. Maybe it worked for you, maybe it didn't. I hear that a lot. Oh, I tried that, it didn't work for me. I tried that, it's good, it's not good. I call bullshit on all that. You have, again, we have a bioregulatory system. You have an energetic system. You
Yes.
have a way to be hydrated. You have a way to have fascia glide over the body. All these things are going to come into play with your experience of something like pulsed electromagnetics.
Yes.
So my big thing is like, if you're chronically dehydrated, which 70% of the US is chronically dehydrated,
That's
and you have
staggering.
if you have poor mineral balance, your response to pulsed electromagnetics is going to be way different.
It's a great point.
Way different. So like let's talk about the baseline first. You know, so before you create a story when something did or didn't work for you, like most of these therapies, they work on animals. And it doesn't work on some of the animals. It
Hmm.
works on all the animals, because the animals aren't in a story in their head, and
Right.
they're not involved. You know, they're not binging Netflix and not honoring. You know, most animals still move. Most. You know, so like a horse is a great example. There's so much research on equine therapy and
Hmm.
pulse electromagnetics, and
Yes.
it's so impressive. Have you ever seen a horse? I go to a big convention called it's called Magnaway. They go to the Kentucky Derby, and so many of these animals, they work with a device when they're running in
We
this
were
race.
there a month ago, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know there's definitely horses that use pulse, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've got a whole animal line.
Yes. And so it's like you see it. They're like those animals, cows, pigs, horses, immediately they see benefit. So where is your human physiology of being locked up with in a story in your brain associated to an outcome which you think you should, or you know, we're meaning making machines, and that's great, but we make a lot of problems for ourselves.
Sure.
So I think simplicity, like if you're going to do pulse electromagnetics, you have to be hydrated. You have to honor sleep wake cycles. You got to honor movement. You want to honor quality nutrition. If you just did those four, your results are going to be exponential.
I think you're absolutely right with the way that this generation has adopted this Burger King mentality. It's our way right away
Yep.
all the time,
Yep.
and we expect that on a daily basis,
Yeah.
to the point where when we are experiencing a life-changing, groundbreaking modality like pulse electromagnetic field technology, then we don't have the response that others do. They're not thinking about all of these other boxes where they haven't been stewarding their bodies. They
That's
haven't been
right.
stewarding the daily disciplines. And so they're expecting this my way right away. Why didn't it do the same thing for me? We're not thinking about those other things. So let's talk biohack stack real quick.
Yeah, let's do
With
it.
that, as you're talking about lymphatic drainage as a modality.
Yeah.
What would you recommend in regards to stacking Pulse PEMF with the lymphatic system that you're working with?
You know, you can really go either way with lymph and pulse electromagnetics because you're changing the cellular voltage, right? You're increasing microcirculation. So imagine we do a big lymphatic drainage session and we push a bunch of environmental toxicants. We push some old senescent, some old immune cells into the pathways of drainage elimination. And then you boost microcirculation. So you're kind of facilitating that out of the body. I think either way that works with pulse very, very well.
Absolutely.
Both you're getting microcirculation stimulated on both ends. You're creating that cellular voltage potential that's going up on either side of that stack. So that's one where it's really, do you want to leave the session in deep parasympathetic, which Flowpresso is going to put you in, or do you want to be a little stimulated depending on how you're using your pulse?
Right.
Because you can play with that. So
the different
again, what do you
frequencies.
feel? What do you need?
Yes.
So I'm going to have nuances as I'm guiding that person to, walk out of that room. If you're way sympathetic dominant, then I might want to send you out with a Flowpresso, do a little pulse first. Maybe work on a painful hip or a joint or something that's not functioning the way you want.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So what do we have coming in the next few years with Freddie Kimmel?
Oh my God. So the podcast is growing exponentially. We're top 10% podcast in the world right now.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's good. We've been at 6.5 years almost, 232 episodes. And the podcast we just got acquired into the LA Tribune's podcast network, which is a world network. So
wow.
Translating the show into Japanese, doing events at Barnes and Nobles, really, really fun to get the conversation out there. And, I think for me, it's just like to remember why the podcast is the greatest teacher I've ever had. So I get to have conversations like these. And you get to challenge your bias. You get to listen to other people, what they're doing in the field. It's easy to get caught up on the next shiny thing, but it really keeps me grounded. So I'm excited to grow that voice and hopefully more people who still dominate their lives with McDonald's and Dairy Queen and are drinking chemical creamers in their coffee. Hopefully some of those listeners are inspired to like jump on the wave.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just it. There's not more. I think if we think about it as climbing a ladder, it's a ladder to nowhere. I think the more over the next few years, I can just remind myself to be present. I'm a workaholic. I'm addicted to dopamine like the next person. Maybe you can tell it because I'm just get fired up. I should spend time alone in the woods. I hope to have my life engineered. I will. So there's more gaps. Right, more rest.
Yes, well said.
So I can be a better me.
I think we could all take a cue from that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I need to do the same as well. So if you've been in that space where you're just like, I don't know what my first step is, the Beautifully Broken podcast may be the right step for you to figure out how to get out of sedentary, out of fast food, and into a holistic, thriving, vibrant life. Freddie, thank you so much for joining us on the Pulsecast today.
Yes, you got it.
Make sure that you check him out, and also Pulsecast. You follow us on all major platforms, and we will see you in the next conversation.
Love it.